Hello everyone, welcome back. I am Nanda Klein and this is the Klarity channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to deal with loss. I would like to begin by apologizing for not shooting a more cheerful video, but if you watched my last video, you saw that I shared about my uncle who was visually impaired and how he inspired me with his example, the way he lived the life, and with his personality and his life, his perspective. And I shared that he has been diagnosed with cancer, and that was probably 3 weeks ago. And last night I received the news that he passed away. I cannot speak on, how to deal with the loss of a spouse or partner, a child or a sibling, because I haven't been through that, thankfully. And last night I went to sleep cuddling with my daughter, and I pray that I will never have to go through that, because both of my grandmothers, they both had to deal with it, with the loss of a child. My paternal grandmother and my maternal grandmother now for the second time. She's 92 years old, and she was actually taking care of my uncle. And the thought of going through that, it's very hurtful, so I can't speak on that, but I've lost my father, and I've lost my grandmother, and I've lost friends, and this year my uncle is gonna be the third family member that I lose in 2021, and I'm here to speak from my heart and try and help anybody else that out there is going through this. And here are a couple tips. I think dealing with death, with the loss of someone, has a lot to do with the circumstances and the type of relationship we had with that person. And in my case, when I lost my dad when I was 21 years old, it was actually, even though I didn't want him to go, because it's part of life. You don't want to lose anyone. You want them to stay around. And but I know it was best for him, because he was suffering. He was in pain. He was being treated for cancer, and himself had told me he didn't want to live anymore. So that really helps, when you try to cope with the loss of someone, because you remind yourself that that person is in peace right now, and it's in a better place. Now with my uncle, it's not very different, because he was in pain, he was suffering, and that's not a way for anybody to live. Of course, you don't want them to go, but you need to remind yourself what's best for them. I say that in some ways, when my father passed away, I was blessed, because I had at least the opportunity to know that was imminent, and I had time to enjoy him as much as I could, and I had time to share with him the way I felt. And that was something that I learned and I use in a daily basis in my life. More than dealing with the loss of someone, I think it's important for us to learning how to deal with people while they're still here. My last words to my father were Eu te amo, which is I love you. I didn't know those were my last words. He later on passed that evening, and that taught me a very important lesson, which is to always let people know how you feel about them. People that do good to you and people that you love. And, you know, my friends say, I'm sorry. My friends say I'm a little crazy. And it's part of who I am. I think it's important to be myself and to let people know what I think and what I feel. And with my uncle, it wasn't different. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to speak to him. He was having a very tough time in this last few weeks, and he didn't want to talk to anybody, but I made sure to send a message to my grandmother, asking her to share with him how much, I appreciated him, how he was my favorite uncle, and how he inspired me. And that in some ways gives me peace. And in all occasions I can tell that this helps me to cope with loss a lot. I believe this year I'm close probably to 10 people that I know that have passed away. And for the most part, if not entirely, I'm happy to say that those are all people that my last interactions with them were very happy, and I was able to express how important they were to me. Other than that, I would say that I always try to focus on the person more than me. Like I said, in my case, not all of them, but my family members, they were people that they lived for a while and they had the blessing to live a full life, and some sick with, some with cancer. Not everybody is ready to go. Not everybody wants to go. And that is hard. It's even harder because, they don't want to go. But like I said, I can speak for the way I handle it and what I believe in. And I know everybody has different beliefs, but in my case, my belief really helps me. I truly believe in God, and I believe in heaven, and I know for some people that might sound stupid, it might sound, I don't know, desperate, but I am who I am, and I have my beliefs based on something. I don't believe in God because I was told I should. I believe in God because of my personal experience and the things I witnessed in my life. And there's some things that there's just not an explanation to. And in that case, I try to focus on that. I try to focus on what I believe in. And in my head, at the end, we're gonna all meet at this place called, by so many, home. When my father passed away, I didn't know how to handle his passing very well. I was a little upset and I didn't understand. I was angry, bitter, but over time I realized that, while sometimes death is a consequence of our own choices, sometimes it's just gonna happen. And when you just don't have an explanation for anything, and you just have to deal with, you know, the way life is, because it is what it is. We don't have control of it. I learned that you just have to find ways to find peace in your heart. You know, right now, I'm okay, I'm sad, but I'm okay. I'm sad because, of course, nobody wants to lose anyone. We want to keep everybody around. I'm sad because the circumstances, you know, for my grandmother, for what she's going through once again. And if I'm not mistaken, for over 40 years ago, she also lost a child the same day. I believe October 3rd or October 4th, 1979. And it's just sad to think that somebody goes through that. But I try to find peace in little things, you know, in my heart. I try to enjoy nature. This morning I went on a drive, and I went for a drive, and I watched the sun rising. I observed the nature, because life is beautiful. Even though it's painful at times, it's beautiful. And I know time it will heal, you know. Recently I was talking to somebody that lost a loved one, and it was the spouse of somebody I know, and he was having a very tough time, and he's like, this is being very hard, and you wake up to the memories, you go to sleep to the memories of the person. And I said, hey, listen, if you weren't feeling like that, there will be a little cycle, you know. It's not normal. I'll be concerned about you if you had got over it, and you were living a happy life like nothing happened, or like that person is not missed. That would be a very bad sign. So I try to stay reminded that this is normal. Everybody that loses a loved one goes through. That's called life, you know. And time heals. We have to take it one day at a time. For some people, it's going to take longer, you know. For some people, not, because, you know, they find ways to deal with loss. My first experience, it was when I was a teenager. I believe I was like 15, 16 years old, and my godmother passed away, and I just didn't know how to handle it. I just, you know, like everybody else, I just cried, and I didn't understand, and you know, but sometimes it's not a matter of an understanding. It's a matter of trying to think of the positive, the good memories you had that person, of the blessing of have had that person in your life, the things that that person taught you, what you were able to learn from them, and understanding that feeling the pain, it's only human, and we are entitled to have our moments, to cry and feel sad and go on the roller coaster, where, you know, in a moment, like, you completely focus on something else, and you don't feel like that is a reality, that that person is no longer here, and then next thing you know, we were sobbing because that person's gone, and it's not going to be part of your life anymore, and it's only natural. I think what I can say is, you know, while I'm going to allow myself to feel, you know, the sadness and deal with his loss, I will also try to keep moving on and focus on the beautiful things I have in life. And, because I don't have control over that, but I do have control over my life and how I perceive life and how I deal with the people that are still here. Because there's planning still for us, and just want to conclude by saying that I believe death is as a crazy thing as life. And honestly, I don't even think our brains are wired to deal with death. I remember when my father passed away, one day I was getting back from work, leaving the train station, and there was this gentleman ahead of me that just looked like it was my dad, and I didn't stop following him until I could pass him and look at his face and make sure, no, it's not my dad. Even though I had seen my father and I knew he was no longer here. I think death is a reminder that we are blessed to be alive and that we have to make the best out of it. Every time somebody passes, I catch myself thinking about how I'm living my life. What can I change? What can I improve? If I'm being true to myself. And quite often I realize that, I think I'm doing a very good job. I try to live, I try to enjoy, I try to share with people how I feel about them. I enjoy creating memories, and so, more than just focus on the sadness, we can try and focus on what can we learn from it and how we can grow from it. And despite being very challenging to shoot this video, I want to come here and share this with you because I like to speak from my heart, and I know that there's probably a lot of people out there like me going through this, and probably even worse. And unfortunately, sometimes there's nothing we can say that is going to take the pain away. But, just be sure that you don't have to do this alone. Last time I got home, when I received the news, I was out celebrating my friend's birthday at a restaurant. And when I got home, my family hugged me. And I would say that from all the pain I went through when my father passed, knowing that I wasn't alone and I had somebody to be there with me, good friends, just knowing that I wasn't alone made a big difference. And I want you to know that you don't have to do this alone. Thank you so much for stopping by, and let's go out and enjoy life. Have a good day. Bye.